that,
Yeah, it was
then
long.
Sandown, then I didn't see Sydney. I went to Blancpain and then Indycars after that.
It was a big weekend.
Oh, it was massive. You know, it was just, oh God. The thing is, they always do this, and then next weekend it'll be like, what's on?
Yeah, there's nothing on.
You know, it'll be,
Yeah, they're bad like that.
Ah. Okay, we've got three camera ops, so if you want to do anything like during that, we can. Well, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. James, yeah. Oh, that's yeah. James is just throwing up the live stream now. So if you're watching the live stream, hello, live. This is not the show. If you're watching this and you think this is the show, this is not the show. This is sort of the entree to the show. And if you enjoy this, this is just to cleanse your palate because the show will be absolutely remarkable. It's something that you should tell your friends and family about right now because it's a moment you're not going to want to miss. No, really. I'm very sincere about that. Let's face it, if you can fake sincerity in this business, you got it made. But we'll be here 9 o'clock. We'll have our special guest tonight will be Brenton Grove from the Australian Formula 4 Championship, and we're just sort of chatting at the moment. So you just hang around, and we'll get back to you. All right? Just stay tuned. Yeah. So anyway, before we were so rudely interrupted by our YouTube viewers, um, so you raced in the 944s,
Yeah, so I did 2 rounds of Porsche 944
right?
Challenge.
When was that? Last year or the year before?
No, that was 2014.
Right.
So that was a while ago, and that year was pretty limited motorsport for me. I was finishing off a couple of years of my schooling. And then the last round that year, I moved up to GT3 Challenge and managed to have some success there.
Yeah.
And then last year was very limited, just because year 12.
I'm just going to get my jacket before this. Shirt. It was just hanging up, and I thought I'll just throw this shirt on. This will do. Bad move. The worrying thing was this was tailor made for me only 4 years ago in Hong Kong. This is how much, go back to this is how much weight I've put on. Got to go back to France. You can lock. Yeah, just put the. You can lock the wheels here. Yeah. Oh, sorry. That's. So those wheels are locked. Oh, that's yeah. That's yeah. Yeah.
4 minutes till we get out of here. Can I have all mobile phones off in the studio? Thank you. Phil, can you close the door for us, please? My phone is off now.
Eventually.
Can you just remember to give me regular time?
Actually, I thought it'd be longer. This would be 2000. This was coming back from Le Mans, so it would be 2010.
2 minutes till we go to air.
Yeah, yeah. So I suppose it's not too bad that I put on a bit of.
A minute 15. A minute 5 till we go to air.
Okay.
1
I
minute
do
till we
lose
go to
weight
air.
in France, yes.
Minute
I'd very much like to go back to France, but I think the days of me going to France are well and truly over. I can't afford Phillip Island, let alone bloody France. Although once you get to France, it's a hell of a lot cheaper living in France
Yeah,
than it
that's
is
true.
here. God, you know, terrible shock. You wander around, you see some of the property prices.
40 seconds.
Bad.
Place at Le Mans, just behind the cathedral there at the Place de Jacobin. Looked at it, it was like, nice, just a tiny place. 1 bedroom studio apartment sort of thing, €86,000.
Wow.
I was sitting there going, oh my, I just paid $250,000 for a place in Hampton Park. This is
15
crazy.
seconds.
Okay.
9.
Tonight's In Pit Lane is proudly brought to you by the Snowy River Sprint. Entries open now. Contact Mountain Motorsport for details. Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane. You're either watching us live via YouTube or you're watching us Wednesday night, 9:30 on Channel 31, Melbourne and Geelong, right across Grand Prix City Melbourne. Now, coming up a little bit later on in the program, you may remember that last weekend was the Sandown 500. Part of the Sandown 500 meeting was the Australian Formula 4 Championship. We'll be talking to one of the competitors in the Formula 4 Championship a little bit later on. Here's Brenton Grove. Also, coming up on the program, all of the international news, except, of course, for Formula One, because Formula One, they don't want us talking about them, so we won't. But what we will talk about is what else has been happening on the world of national and international motorsport. And as usual, I shall say it was a big weekend in motorsport, and this week it was. And this is the In Pit Lane Motorsport News. Well, the retro round concept for this year's Sandown 500 seemed to go down a treat. Crowds were up on previous years and plenty of people, both spectators and teams, got into the spirit of the occasion. Although with the V8 supercar crowd, it's hard to draw the line between kitsch nostalgic fashion and the sort of clothes they wear every day. There was a nostalgic touch to the results as well, with a supercar veteran returning to the winners list and taking his first ever Sandown 500. Enduro specialists Garth Tander and Warren Luff have combined to take out the first round of the Pertec Enduro Cup, the Sandown 500. The Holden Racing Team pairing saw off a late charge by Shane van Gisbergen and his co-driver Alex Premer to take the win by less than a second after almost 500 kilometres of racing. Techno's Will Davison and Jonathan Webb finished in third place to round out the podium. The race was shortened to a time-certain race after a frightening crash on the first lap to Volvo newcomer James Golding. A tyre failure at the fastest part of the circuit sent the Volvo into the tyre barrier at over 145 kilometres per hour. Once again, in a testimony to the safety of the modern race car, Golding was shaken but otherwise unhurt.
Yeah, that was a really big one, biggest I've ever had, so really lucky still to be here. Yeah, just really disappointed for all the team. I mean, this is the stuff we live for, and to miss out on a big race like this is really unfortunate, yeah.
It wasn't the only crash at that point of the circuit, with a big crash in the third Formula 4 race between Josh Denton and Josh Conroy. Once again, no one was hurt. Dander's victory in the race was his first Sandown 500 win, and after recent events at HRT, comes at a most welcome time.
car was really nice until the guard fell off it. Then it was really hard work. So guys did an awesome job all weekend. It was a start, and the first stint was really, really impressive. So car felt really good when we rolled it out on Friday, and yeah, wanted this one on the CV, haven't got it yet, so I'm really happy to have that one.
Van Gisbergen's second place moves him into the lead of the Supercar Championship as the teams now prepare for the big one, the Bathurst 1000 on October 9th. For Walkinshaw Racing, but speculation's growing that both Tander and James Courtney may be on the move for next year. Courtney's name continues to be associated with Nissan, while Tander told journalists at Sandown last weekend that he knew what his plans were for 2017, but he wasn't telling anybody. With the loss of Holden sponsorship at the end of this year, it's believed that both Tander and Courtney may need to take a substantial pay cut if they're to continue with the team from Clayton. Courtney's manager, Alan Gow, has already indicated that in the case of his driver, that simply isn't going to happen. In other races at Sandown, Gary Jacobson took the overall honours in the Supercar Development Series. Alex Davison returned to the winners list, taking out the Carrera Cup round. Aaron Seaton kept the nostalgic theme alive with a win in the new Toyota 86 Series, while Queensland driver William Brown took the overall honours in Formula 4. Well, sponsorship's an important part of the sport, indeed an important part of this program. I'm just sort of throwing that in there if there's any sponsors out there. Recently at the Shannon's Nationals, cars wore the colours of a new sponsor, although in this case the money changing hands went in a totally different direction, but all for a very good cause. Sponsorship is the lifeblood of motorsport, from the state championship level all the way up to Formula One. Sponsors, both big and small, use motorsport to increase brand awareness and promote new products or services. But sometimes that valuable race car real estate can be used for more worthy ambitions than selling used cars or timeshare resorts at Rosebud. At the recent Shannon's Nationals, cars in several categories carried the signage of Cars for Hope.
Cars for Hope is a non-for-profit organisation based around the car scene in Australia, and it's sort of based around just promoting conversation and spreading awareness about mental health throughout the car community. A few guys started it after one of their friends, Annabelle, was struggling with mental health, and they found that sort of spreading this logo or spreading this idea of Cars for Hope, it would help others. So you see the logo around, you see it on other people's cars, people you don't know, or people ask about it. They go, what's that? What does it mean? And there's sort of this greater idea of interconnectivity between people.
With suicide rates in Australia amongst the highest in the world, the need for people, especially men, to open up and talk about their problems in a supportive and non-threatening environment is more important than ever, and Cars for Hope believe that a shared love of cars and motorsport is a good way to start that conversation.
I think motorsport especially is a great place to sort of make that connection, make that common ground with someone who may be struggling, or even if they're not, just make them aware that people in their life maybe, or people around might be. And I think that's sort of the powerful thing with Cars for Hope, or through the car community at large. Yeah, you have that instant connection with someone. You common interest, you know, you love cars, it starts off, it's easy to talk to. But that could grow into something. It could grow into something significant, something meaningful.
To find out more about Cars for Hope, you can visit their website at carsforhope.com.au. Yes, a great cause there. So if you're interested, check Cars for Hope out. Now, Melbourne's Todd Road Circuit will host the final round of the 2016 Australian Kart Championships this weekend. More than 200 competitors will line up at the event, where 9 Australian champions will be crowned on Sunday afternoon. Drivers will be competing for over $120,000 worth of prizes, with several overseas racing opportunities on offer. Practice begins on Friday, followed by qualifying and heat races on Saturday. The finals will be contested from midday on Sunday. The Todd Road karting facility is located on the corner of Cook Street and Todd Road, Port Melbourne. Entry for spectators is free. And if you see Mick Doohan there, tell him In Pit Lane sent you. Now we're going to go for a break now, but when we get back, we're going to be joined by our very special guest from the Australian Formula 4 Championship. He is Brenton Grove. We are watching In Pit Lane on Channel 31 and also live via the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. And we'll be right back in just a moment. Yes, there we are. We're welcome back to our YouTube viewers. We're just taking a quick break for Channel 31. We don't have much. So as I was sort of saying at the start of the program with sponsorship, we are looking for sponsors at the moment. If you would like your company or your products here on In Pit Lane, seen right across Australia and right across the world now every week, then contact us at In Pit Lane. We've got a Patreon page as well. Not sure exactly how that works. I don't know why we've got. It's like our Google Plus page. We've got all sorts of things. We've got Instagram. We've got Patreon. We've got all sorts of Vine, all sorts of things, and we don't understand any of them. But anyway, if you understand them, go to our Patreon page, and there's lots of great offers on there. It can cost as little as a couple of dollars a week, and you can help support In Pit Lane and keep us on the air. But right now, we're going to, I think we're all ready to go. If everyone's ready in the control room, I'm getting nods of approval from Pete, so I think it's time for me to say, welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, coming up last weekend down at Sandown was the latest round of the Australian Formula 4 Championship. Formula 4 Championship in its second year now, and really hasn't... we're on camera 2, are we? Lights on camera 1, but anyway, we're on camera 2 apparently. The Australian Formula 4 Championship was last week at Sandown, and the difficult conditions. The man that's joining us tonight is one of the competitors from the Australian Formula 4 Championship. Also raced in GT3 with a 997 Porsche, and is a graduate of the Victorian Porsche Part 944 Challenge Series. Here he is Brenton Grove. Brenton, welcome to In Pit Lane.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's start off with Sandown. Difficult conditions on the weekend. Tell us about your weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of the weekend was changing conditions, and it was always looking at the sky to see what it would throw up. The Sunday race was really wet, and it was, for me, the first time I'd raced in the wet, and the first time I'd driven a car that didn't have a roof in the wet. So for me, it was a different thing, and it was something I had to adjust to. But for the other couple of races that were dry, it was good fun.
So your best result on the weekend was a 5th in the final race, but that was short, and we saw the crash earlier, and I think it's there. Some people sort of look at the Formula 4s and say, well, they're not all that fast and all that, but when you see them crash like that, they're plenty fast enough, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was unfortunate to have a crash myself earlier this year, but the thing that people sometimes forget, I mean, the cars are as quick or faster than V8 supercars in most of the corners. The straight line speed's not there, so when it goes wrong in the corners, it goes wrong in a big way, and unfortunately both Joshes had a big crash, and glad to see they're okay.
You had a good start to the season. You won the opening race at Symmons Plains, which was good. But as you said, a little bit later on, you did have a big crash over the top at Lukey at Phillip Island. Do you think that set you back any? That crash might have set you back at all?
It definitely has changed my mindset when I go about my racing. At the start, it was more do anything I could and take unnecessary risks at times. I think I've proven a bit more recently that I'm a bit more reserved and more calculated at times when I need to be. So it has changed my mindset a little bit, but at the end of the day, I'm still as hungry and determined to win as ever.
It's an interesting choice, as I said, come out of the Porsche scene and racing in sports cars and moving into Formula 4. Why the decision in Formula 4? What was it that Formula 4 offered that appealed to you?
Well, to be honest, it had never really been on my radar. I got a call earlier this year from Cameron McConville, who was the motorsport manager at the time of Formula 4, and they spoke to me about coming and doing the series. And when I looked down at the people racing and what the category could offer me, it was something that really appealed to me. And I think since then it's taught me a lot, and there's a lot of things that go into motorsport, and Formula 4 is a good avenue to learn them, and it's good to race with other kids my age, and you kind of get a gauge of where you're at and where you need to improve.
It's interesting that one of the things that they wanted to do with Formula 4 was use it as not just a driver development, like on the track, but also off the track as well. And certainly in places like France and that, they've sort of turned it into almost a almost a class situation, a study situation, learning things like media and that sort of thing. Do you do that sort of things with Formula 4? Is there a sort of extracurricular stuff apart from on track?
There is to a point. I mean, we deal a lot with the media guy that does a lot of their stuff, and we do some media stuff off the track, and CAMS run their CAMS academies where they have kids or karters and some F4 guys that go and do fitness and nutrition and the media training. But for me, it hasn't really been that. It's been more about the on-track learning, dealing with Carl Ryan, who's our DSO, and it's good to learn a lot about the racing, the racecraft, starts and everything else. So it's definitely taught a lot, and yeah, it's a good category to do, I think.
CAM's vision and the FIA's vision for this is that it's basically, you have people coming straight out of karts, and sort of it's the first step onto, an open wheel or an international future. What are you using it for? I mean, are you looking at going overseas, staying in open wheelers, or are you looking at perhaps going back into GT cars and those sorts of things?
Well, for me, it's a bit undecided at the moment. I'm taking it as it comes, really. My background has been in tin tops and Porsches. Family's got a team that races Carrera Cup, so for me, I don't think the international avenue is one that I'll pursue. But definitely in Australia, I'll look at my other options and whether I go back to Porsche later on or GT racing or whatever it is. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to do just yet, but I think Formula 4 is a good place to be at the moment.
Of course, with GT racing now, I mean, we've seen the incredible growth in GT3 right around the world. They've just released, we were going to have it in the news, they had to drop it for time reasons, but the Asian Le Mans series has just suddenly exploded in terms of the car numbers. We've got Blancpain coming into Asia next year. So there's plenty of opportunities now for a young guy like yourself to get into GT racing.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, single seaters is good at the moment because the cars are quite similar. So whether GT racing in Australia or Asia or Europe is what's going to happen in the future, I'm not too sure. But at the moment, it's definitely a booming series, and it's something that's quite appealing to a lot of young guys, and especially me.
Now, one thing we notice on your lapel there is the white ribbon. Now, I understand that you're an ambassador for White Ribbon. Tell us what White Ribbon is.
So White Ribbon is Australia's only male-led domestic violence charity. So it's a charity that's run by males to tackle the problem of domestic violence towards female, and it's a good charity, and it's something that means a lot to me because it's men tackling the problem head on. They're doing what they can to try and rid the cause of it, which largely stems to the way that men or males are brought up from a young age. So for me, it's something that I'm really passionate about, to try and get rid of the stigma about talking about it and, unfortunately, the prevalence of domestic violence in society.
Do you think that's still a case with a lot of young men, people your age, that it's still in the back of their mind that somehow there is still some sort of acceptable behaviour in terms of like mistreating women and mistreating their families?
I mean, of course there is. It's something that's ingrained in a lot of children and teenagers, and it starts from the bottom and it works its way up. So if a father or a dad acts in a way that is inappropriate or not right towards a female, and their son sees it, then they learn that that's the right thing to do. So unfortunately, that's what happens in society, and White Ribbon really tries to educate young kids to not act or behave in that way and not result in that when it comes to domestic violence.
So what do you do? I mean, in terms of, like, you talk to schools and things like that, or like car clubs and about the issue?
Well, I've only really recently come on board. I think I've been about a month or 2 weeks. So for me, at the moment, it's trying to raise awareness at the track, which is really male dominated. So if we can try and break into a community like that's so heavily populated by males, the people that don't really talk about it, then it's good. But at the same time, I'll be going back to my old school and some workplaces to try and talk to people and educate them about other things that they can do and how they can stop domestic violence.
Well, it's a good thing, as you say, it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, once it starts, it does tend to sort of roll on from generation to generation. You've got to, put a circuit breaker in there somewhere. Good luck with that. It's good to see you getting involved in something like that, and good luck with the rest of the season. Your next round is where?
My last round is on the Gold Coast. So that's in, I think, a month's time, so that should be good fun.
So yeah, if nothing else, it'll be fun just looking at the spectators.
Yeah, exactly. It's an awesome event to do that, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, good luck with that. And for now, Brenton Grove, thanks for joining us in Pit Lane.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be back in just a moment with all the international news and happy enchilada. I kid you not. We'll be right back. Okay, we're going to, thank you for that, much appreciated. There, if you want to just stay for the rest of the thing, we'll go, because it'll only take, another 5 minutes or so. There we are, we're back. For our YouTube viewers, that black was brought to you by courtesy of the Acme Black Company. Brenton's going to stay with us for a moment while we go to the news, which I'm going to throw to on camera 2 when I say in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, New Zealand star Greg Murphy will be back behind the wheel when the Australian GT Championship moves to New Zealand's Hampton Downs circuit. Murphy will share the Aston Martin Vantage GT3 with Tony Quinn at both Hampton Downs and Highlands Park. Murphy said he was looking forward to getting back behind the wheel. He last drove a GT3 car for Quinn in a McLaren that he shared with Neil Crompton way back in 2013. Well, it was another big weekend on the international front. The WEC was at the Circuit of the Americas in Texas. The Blancpain Enduro Series wrapped up at the Nurburgring, and on the streets of Singapore, something else happened that Formula One management would much rather we don't talk about. Oh, and a new Indycar champion was crowned at Sonoma, and that's where we'll kick off this guaranteed Formula One free edition of the In Pit Lane International Wrap. A win to Simon Pagenaud was the icing on the cake for his first ever IndyCar Championship win. Pagenaud and Will Power went into the final round at Sonoma, both in contention for the title, and the Penske pair were running 1-2 until Power's day ended early with mechanical failure. Pagenaud went on to win the race and take the title ahead of Graham Rahal and Juan Pablo Montoya. Mark Webber, Brendan Hartley and Timo Bernhard have taken their third straight victory in the World Endurance Championship with a win in the 6 Hours of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Audi had led early, but electrical problems for the number 8 car and a crash for car 7 handed the victory to Porsche. The number 8 Audi recovered to take second with Toyota in third place. Rebellion again took out the non-hybrid P1 class. In LMP2 it was a win for the 36 Alpine, while GTE was a double victory for Aston Martin, winning both Pro and AM classes. Victory for Martin Truex Jr. in the first race of NASCAR's complicated end-of-season chase. Truex took the lead after a late race caution to take the win ahead of Joey Logano and Chase Elliott. Elliott had led most of the race, but when a tyre blowout for Michael McDowell put the race into overtime, Truex came through for the win. 16-time NHRA Funny Car champion John Force has got his championship chase off to a fine start with a win in the 9th annual NHRA Carolina Nationals at ZMAX Dragway. Force powered his way to a 3.946 second run to defeat number 1 qualifier Tommy Johnson Jr. for his 146th career win. In Top Fuel, Antron Brown claimed his 5th win of the season to defeat Doug Coletta. It's Brown's 2nd consecutive win at the event. And Jason Lyon outran teammate Greg Anderson in an all-Camaro Pro Stock shootout. And as Shane Van Gisbergen drove to second place at Sandown, his Garage 56 McLaren teammates were winning the Blancpain Enduro Series at the Nurburgring. The race was won by the Lamborghini Huracan of Bortolotti, Inettian and Dengelhardt in a thriller. But despite finishing back in 30th place, the McLaren team of Bell, Ledergar and Tappy, filling in for Van Gisbergen, had enough points in hand to scrape home for the title. And in the Amateur Cup class, Australian Liam Talbot had enough points from 7th to claim the championship in that category. And that's about all we have time for this weekend, or this week on In Pit Lane. Now, coming up next week on the program, we're going to be joined by Victorian Formula Ford driver Lucas Filikodzias. And also coming up, playing us out tonight, we've got our band, and playing us out is Happy Enchilada. They'll be playing at the Blue Bonnet Barbecue in 32 St George's Road, North Fitzroy, from 7:30 to 9:30. So get in early. You can also check out their SoundCloud and Facebook pages. I think you're going to really like this as we say good night from In Pit Lane, and we take you out with Happy Enchilada with The Doing and The Done. Until next week, we're done. Good night.
Jackie left town this morning. I got on a 747 and packed it on home. Kathy, well, she's been here a long time.
Who was that other one?
With the red hair.
Didn't like to be alone.
Paper money's burning, firecrackers snapping in the street. I'm on my 16th can and my
16th conversation
about the heat. There's a mountain somewhere,
a pile of things I've lost.
The numbers on the napkins that I put through the wash. They're going and they're gone, the doing and the done. Scotty, well, we've been here a long time.
Tea, eggs, and
Cheap cigarettes at the 7-Eleven. Lately, get sick when I hear my own lines. I
feel like a dirty old man.
A young man's heaven. If you had told a younger me that I'd still be here, I'd have said you were crazy. I was only banking on a couple of years. There's a mountain somewhere,
pile of things I've lost.
The numbers on the napkins that I've put through the wash. They're going and they're gone, the doing and the done. And I'll admit it's not very likely. If I had a daughter, I'd want her to meet somebody like me. Where will I be living then?
Who will I be calling friends?
What will I become then? The ones that I'll never, ever see again. The going and the gone, the doing and the done. The going and the gone, the doing and the done. Going and the gone, the doing and the done.